Scene opens with a split screen. On the left, Caitlin Clark celebrating a historic win. In the center, Aliyah Boston on the bench, her leg wrapped in ice. On the right, Candace Parker on first take, her voice cutting through the noise. Text flashes, win, injury, truth bomb. 3 stories. 1 explosive moment. The WNBA has never seen a week like this. 3 massive stories, all breaking at the same time, have turned the basketball world upside down. First, Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever just pulled off a historic victory. A statement win that silenced every critic who doubted she could lead this team to greatness. Without her, they already proved they could win. With her, they're unstoppable. Second, Aliyah Boston, the Fever's all-star anchor, is out. She's been ruled out with a lower leg injury, threatening to break her legendary 275-game consecutive play streak. Without her, the Fever's front court is vulnerable, and their playoff hopes are hanging by a thread. Third, Candace Parker, the 3-time champion, 2-time MVP, and the most respected voice in women's basketball, has just fired back at the angry old heads who've been tearing down Caitlin Clark. Her message? Let's keep it about basketball. Caitlin is rising. Aliyah is hurting. Candace is speaking truth. And Yanni, this is only the beginning. Caitlin Clark's major win. The Fever are for real. Scene opens with the Indiana Fever celebrating on the court. The scoreboard reads, Fever 84, Aces 68. Kelsey Mitchell is mobbed by teammates. Caitlin Clark is cheering from the sideline, her smile lighting up the arena. The Indiana Fever just made history. Without Caitlin Clark, without Aliyah Wilson, on the road, in Las Vegas, against the defending champions. Here's the stat that will blow your mind. The Indiana Fever had never won a regular season game in Las Vegas, ever. They'd lost all 11 previous road meetings against the Aces since the team moved there in 2018. That streak is now dead. The Fever defeated the Aces 84-68 in a game that wasn't even as close as the score suggests. The heroes, Kelsey Mitchell, 27 points, leading the charge with pure offense. Aliyah Boston, 18 points, 10 rebounds, her 6th double-double of the season. Lexi Hull, a buzzer-beating jumper that gave the Fever a 42-41 halftime lead. The turning point. The Fever went on a 21-8 run in the third quarter, holding the Aces to just 27% shooting. By the end of the third, it was 68-55. The Aces never recovered. This win proved something huge. The Fever are not a one-woman team. They've now won all 3 games Clark has missed this season. Tyasha Harris has stepped up as point guard. Mitchell and Boston have carried the load. And when Clark returns, they'll be even more dangerous. Aliyah Boston out, the Fever's worst nightmare. Scene opens with Aliyah Boston on the bench, her leg wrapped in ice. The camera shows her face, frustrated, determined, but clearly in pain. The scoreboard shows the Fever trailing without her. While the Fever are celebrating their historic win, they're also facing a devastating blow. Aliyah Boston is out. She's been ruled out with a lower right leg injury, and the timeline for her return is uncertain. This is a massive blow. Boston is having a career-best season, averaging 17.1 points on 50.4% shooting, 8.6 rebounds, 2.8 assists, 1.0 steals, and 1.3 blocks. She was voted an all-star starter. She's the anchor of the Fever's front court. But here's what makes this injury even more devastating. Aliyah Boston has never missed a game. Not in college. Not in the pros. Before this injury, she had played 275 consecutive games, a streak stretching back to her freshman year at South Carolina. She started every single game for 4 years at South Carolina, 138 games, and 4 years with the Fever, 137 games. That streak ended in May when she was ruled out against the Seattle Storm. And now, just weeks later, she's back on the injury report. The Fever are already dealing with Caitlin Clark's lingering back injury. She's listed as probable, but missed 2 games. Without Boston, the team lacks frontcourt depth, and they'll have to rely on veterans Myisha Hines-Allen and Damiris Dantas. The timing couldn't be worse. The Fever have a brutal upcoming schedule, games against the Aces, Valkyries, Storm, and Liberty. Every win matters. And if Boston is sidelined for an extended period, the Fever's playoff hopes could be over. Candace Parker fires back. I'm not gonna be Shaq. Scene opens with Candace Parker on first take with Stephen A. Smith. She leans forward, her voice steady but her message razor-sharp. The camera zooms in as she delivers the line that broke the internet. While the Fever were making history and dealing with injuries, Candace Parker was dropping truth bombs. The three-time WNBA champion, two-time MVP, and the most respected voice in women's basketball has just fired back at the narrative that's been poisoning the league for months. The narrative that veterans are resentful of Caitlin Clark. The narrative that the old guard is bitter about the new wave of attention. Her response? Simple, brutal, unforgettable. My job was to leave the game better than I came into it. She called out the so-called angry old heads. She made it clear, resentment is a choice. Cheryl Miller wasn't resentful of her, and she won't be resentful of Caitlin Clark. Let's keep it about basketball, she said. She also called out the all-star voting. When Parker discovered that Caitlin Clark was ranked 11th among guards by her fellow players, even though fans and media ranked her high enough to earn a starting spot, she was furious. Caitlin Clark voted 11th best guard by WNBA players is crazy. She didn't stop there. She called out the voters directly. I think people need to look at themselves in the mirror and realize you got some insecurities if you're sitting down and putting Caitlin Clark as the 11th best guard. Y'all need to go to a therapist and figure out what childhood issues you have. Her solution? New rules for player voting. I wholeheartedly believe there needs to be some rules with the WNBA players because this is getting out of hand. It was a direct challenge to every player who let jealousy cloud their judgment. And it cemented Parker's role as the voice of reason in a league that desperately needed one. The veterans react. Parker's words cut deep. Scene opens with a montage of veteran WNBA players, past and present, reacting to Parker's comments. Some nod in agreement. Others look uncomfortable. A few look away. Candace Parker's words have landed like a bomb in the WNBA locker rooms. And not everyone is happy about it. Because Parker didn't just defend Caitlin Clark. She called out the angry old heads, the veterans who have been critical of Clark, who have suggested she's overrated or undeserving of the attention. And the reaction has been divided. Some veterans have praised Parker. Candace is speaking the truth. We should be celebrating Clark, not tearing her down. Former WNBA player, Anonymous. She's always been a leader on and off the court. This is why she's a legend. Current WNBA player, Anonymous. Others have pushed back. It's easy for Candace to say that. She made millions in endorsements. She doesn't understand the frustration of players who never got that opportunity. Anonymous source. We're not angry old heads. We're players who built this league and never got the respect we deserved. We're allowed to feel that way. Anonymous source. But Parker's message is clear. Resentment is a choice. She chose to mentor the next generation. She chose to support Caitlin Clark. She chose to be happy for the league's growth, even though she didn't benefit from it the way today's players do. And she's challenging every other veteran to make the same choice. The debate is now raging across social media, talk shows, and locker rooms. But one thing is certain. Candace Parker has just redefined the conversation. What this all means, the WNBA at a crossroads. Scene opens with a wide shot of a WNBA arena. The crowd is roaring. The camera pans to Caitlin Clark on the court, Aliyah Boston on the bench, and Candace Parker in the broadcast booth. Text appears. The future is now. So where does this leave us? 3 stories. 3 battles. 1 league at a crossroads. First, the Fever are legit. They've proven they can win with or without Caitlin Clark. But their ceiling depends on 2 things, Clark's return and Boston's health. If both are at 100%, they're championship contenders. Second, Aliyah Boston's injury is a crisis. She's the anchor of the team's defense and a stabilizing force in the frontcourt. If she's out for an extended period, the Fever will struggle to compete with the league's elite teams. Third, Candace Parker has drawn a line in the sand. She said, veterans, you can be bitter or you can be mentors. You can resent Clark or you can celebrate her. But if you choose resentment, you're hurting the game you claim to love. The WNBA is at a turning point. The league has more money, more attention, and more talent than ever before. But it also has more tension between veterans and rookies, between players and officials, between the league and its own government. The question is, will the WNBA rise to the occasion? Will they protect Caitlin Clark? Will they support Aliyah Boston? Will they listen to Candace Parker? Or will they let the infighting, the injuries, and the controversy tear them apart? Yanni, the answer is coming soon. And the entire basketball world is watching.